Then Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain and said, "This is what you are to say to the descendants of Jacob, and what you are to tell the people of Israel. You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words you are to speak to the Israelites."
Just after the people leave Egypt in the Exodus, God leads them to a special mountain, Sinai. It's at Mount Sinai that God reminds Moses that the descendants of Israel are special to him. God gives Moses the law, a set of instructions for how the people of Israel are to live. Now, a copy of these instructions is available for us to read in full in the second book of the Bible, Exodus, chapters 20 to 31. That account is over 9,000 words long. But let me summarise very briefly. The law touches on every aspect of their lives. God tells his people how and where they're to worship him, how they're to love and honour the people around them, how they're to resolve legal disputes and seek justice, how they're to act morally, ethically, and with integrity and social responsibility. The great irony is that while Moses is on the mountain receiving these instructions from God on how the people are to devote their lives and their worship to him, the Israelites are at the bottom of the mountain making an idol, a statue that they can worship. And this is the pattern that God's people fall into. God is present in the lives of his people. He gives them good instructions for how to live. But time after time, they abandon God. They turn away from him. Their eyes are drawn away by something else. It's the Garden of Eden all over again. At that moment in the garden, God had given just one instruction: don't eat from that tree. But our ancestors used their will to disobey. Throughout God's story, his people keep turning away from him. And in the 7th book of the Bible, Judges, we see this exact thing happening over and over again. God's people turn away from him, and then their disobedience leads them into really hard times and hard places until eventually they cry out and ask God for help. God sees his people's misery, and he chooses someone to rescue them from their trouble. Tribal leaders that are called judges. But only a generation or two after each of the judges, God's people are turning away from him all over again, and the cycle begins anew. Disobedience leads to misery, misery to rescue. Then disobedience again, leading to misery, and then to rescue. The book of Judges ends with the line, "In those days Israel had no king, and everyone did as they saw fit." Everyone did whatever they liked. It was anarchy driven by selfishness. These were bad times, but a change was coming. A change that the last line of the book of Judges foreshadows. In those days Israel had no king. Well, Israel was about to meet their first king, and nothing would be quite the same after that.